filled with beautiful places to visit no matter where you're heading. We should know, we keep finding them all over the place. On the one hand, this is great. Genuinely, there are few things that get us more excited in a meeting than discussing the latest hidden gem someone discovered on their various travels. But it's also things and moments like these that really highlight other, more well-known destinations that are way more hype than they are fire. In fact, there are a ton of overrated tourist attractions out there that were maybe tip-top back in the day, or just have a grossly overinflated rep they can't live up to. Seeing as there's no need to get caught wasting your vacation on a destination less exciting than what's already in your hometown, we've put together 10 of the world's most overrated tourist traps from California to the UAE. Want to skip the most overrated travel destinations and get right to the good stuff? ViaTravelers.com is your #1 source for insider info on great travel spots from all over the world. You'll find some links to travel essentials in the description below, and make sure to like and subscribe to the ViaTravelers.com YouTube channel for travel info you can count on. Now, let's make sure you don't get stuck in line for one of the 10 most overrated places you can visit. We're starting with one of the most overrated tourist attractions in the United States, the entire city of Las Vegas. Nevada is a beautiful state with plenty to explore, but dazzling Las Vegas will try its best to make sure you see none of it. Those cheap flights are set up to get you caught in a casino. Despite years of marketing and likely billions of dollars to really hammer home that the nation's marriage and divorce capital is a place for family-friendly vacations, Las Vegas is all about casinos. You're going to be hard-pressed to find places to stay, eat, and find entertainment that doesn't revolve around the gambling industry. Casinos are definitely the biggest game in town, and they make their presence known. Why do you think this place dazzles? Even when you find attractions outside of the Strip, you'll be up to your nose in casinos, or at the very least inundated with advertisements for casino after casino. The Strip is easily the most overrated place in Las Vegas. This is the main drag, full of formerly iconic casinos that are all fading and losing the glamour that came from their glory days. That's right, I went there, I said it. And it's more true now than it ever was. I'll be honest, I used to adore Vegas because of the excess that Vegas was able to sustain. For now at least, this is no longer the case. Speaking to a cross-section of people who work in some of the city's most hallowed casinos and resorts, and just looking at the state of some of these institutions, the Strip is having staffing and maintenance issues. It seems good people are hard to come by and hang on to, which is typically a managerial problem. And the state of repair in places like Caesars, the Bellagio, and the Flamingo is frankly appalling, especially when you consider what you're paying. Most new travelers are shocked when they see the huge price gap when it comes to quality on the Strip. Other travel destinations, even some on this list of overrated destinations, still have great attractions even when you're on a tight budget. When you come to Las Vegas, expect to lose a lot of money even if you don't visit a casino. Las Vegas has also earned its nickname as the City of Sin. If rowdy parties, streets full of people who might have had a few too many drinks, and indulging in vices aren't your thing, you should take your trip elsewhere. And even if they are your thing, there are cheaper places in the States where you can enjoy all of this. The Leaning Tower of Pisa has to be one of the most overrated tourist attractions on the entire planet. When you come down to it, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is just a selfie spot. You'll find endless crowds of people looking to take the exact same photo that you've seen hundreds of times on the internet. Part of the issue with this world-famous disappointment is that the Leaning Tower of Pisa is much smaller than you might expect. Those huge crowds also mean long lines to wait for your turn to take your selfie trying to hold up the tower, like every other dweeb who thinks that the image of propping up this underwhelming monument is the epitome of wit. It's also a lot harder than you might think to get a good selfie at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. There's going to be other tourists in the background that spoil the effect, getting in the way, doing the same thing you're doing. Seeing a field of people with both arms outstretched in the background of your pic is just going to make you look like you're in a cult. A boring cult. If that weren't bad enough, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is also not leaning like it used to. Since 2000, architects have done restoration projects to make sure the tower doesn't topple, which has included straightening it out a little bit. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is also in an overrated neighborhood. It's full of lines for buses, tourist traps, and relentless price gouging. This isn't the only Leaning Tower in Italy. If celebrating shoddy build quality is your jam, you'll be able to find other Leaning Towers in Italy, like the Church of San Michele degli Scalzi, which is located near Pisa, as well as several Leaning Towers in the city of Bologna. Next time you're in Italy, skip the overrated Leaning Tower of Pisa and give some of these other towers a try. Some overrated places are tourist traps in otherwise amazing cities. If you're in London, make sure to avoid the overrated London Eye like the plague. It sucks. The London Eye might look amazing in photographs and on promotional material, but the first thing you're going to notice when you visit are the lines. You're going to be waiting in line longer than you'll ever be riding the London Eye. There are actually 2 lines while you're waiting for the London Eye. The first line is just to buy your ticket, and the second line is to ride the Eye itself. At the end of the first line, you're going to find a shockingly high ticket price. It costs around $40 American to ride the London Eye. If you're disappointed in the speed of the lines, you're all going to be even more disappointed in the speed of the London Eye. Travellers either see this as going too fast or too slow. The entire trip around the London Eye only takes about 30 minutes, half of what it used to be when it first opened, although I'm not too cut up about that, considering there's a good chance someone will throw up in one of the pods if it doesn't already smell like sick. You get just a few moments pause at the top to enjoy the view and take some pictures, which would be great if London wasn't so flat. It's actually a hectic experience, and you don't get enough time to snap some selfies and enjoy the view. One of the most important things to look for when it comes to overrated travel destinations is what locals think of the experience. Londoners tend to either hate or totally discount the London Eye. I am the former. I loathe the London Eye. Apart from the deal breakers I laid out, I think it's a total eyesore that doesn't match the city's aesthetic and ultimately is kind of pointless. Similar giant Ferris wheels, such as the one in Vegas, are less pointless because at the apex, you'll be among other tall, brightly lit buildings. Being built on a swamp, London can't support many tall structures, so most of what you'll see at the top of the Eye is the roofs of a lot of old buildings, which are far more impressive at street level. If your travels have taken you to the City of London, I promise you that with the time and money you could spend on the London Eye, you could open up an entire world of excitement instead. For some of you, Niagara Falls might be a surprising inclusion on a list of overrated tourist destinations, but there's certainly nothing to fall for here. Insert self-congratulating chuckle. We're going to start by talking about everything you'll be going through on your way to see the falls before we get to the landmark itself. The town of Niagara Falls is the textbook definition of a tourist trap. It's tacky, full of gift shops, and is purpose-built for people just passing through. It seems like a lot of the charming character has been swept away by businesses selling the Niagara Falls t-shirts. Getting to Niagara Falls is also a bit of a pain. Even if you drive, you're going to have to spend a good portion of your trip just looking for parking or shuttles. There's also not a lot to do in the area. There's not enough in Niagara Falls to sustain a longer trip like there is with other natural attractions like the Grand Canyon. The price of everything in Niagara Falls is also way too expensive. You'll be paying an arm and a leg just to take a short tour of Niagara Falls, or paying even more to take a boat ride close to the water. Now let's talk about the experience of visiting Niagara Falls. You're going to be shoulder to shoulder with other tourists trying to take selfies next to this natural wonder. This means that your pics of Niagara Falls are going to be crowded out by other people on vacation doing the same thing as you. You really have to have a purpose-built trip to visit Niagara Falls to get the most out of it. It's a hard destination to just see while you're passing through. All of this makes the Niagara Falls experience kind of overrated. This is one waterfall you shouldn't go chasing. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood might draw a lot of tourism, but it's also going to draw a lot of criticism from people who expect Hollywood hype. Getting to Hollywood and getting around while you're here is a real trial. You can expect traffic jams that can last for hours and almost no decent public transit options. After a weekend in Hollywood, you'll be eager to get back home to even the most basic public transit options in your home city. For those hunting glitz and glam, a visit to Hollywood might be a bit ironic, because a lot of what people look for in Hollywood is moving elsewhere. The days when Hollywood was the global center for film and celebrity are fading away. Film studios are moving to more affordable cities like New Orleans and Toronto to set up movie-making operations. and most of what's left in Hollywood is just high-end shopping and tourist traps. One of the worst tourist traps is the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Mimicked the world over, the Walk of Fame has even been voted as one of the worst tourist traps of all time. While walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame is free, you can expect to spend a lot of money while you're there. Artists, characters posing for photo ops, and retailers selling souvenirs all charge extremely high prices for tourists on the walk. It's also incredibly crowded because, it's a regular sidewalk. While you struggle to look for whichever celebrity star you wanted to find, you'll be bumping into people either doing the same thing as you or just trying to leave Trader Joe's. And because it's a regular sidewalk, it's really unkempt in places. LA is known for being a pretty filthy city, and the best place to experience this filth is along the Walk of Fame. The Hollywood sign is another iconic location that many tourists find incredibly disappointing when they actually get there. It's a 3-hour round trip to hike up a mountain to get a good view of the sign. Views of the Hollywood sign from the city are often obstructed by smog or difficult to take pictures of in the first place. Although it's gotten a heck of a lot better, smog is still a huge problem in the Los Angeles area, and Hollywood is definitely not spared. Sweeping views of the city are often spoiled by hazy skies, frequently blocking the iconic sign. Now, this is kind of tough for me, because I think if you ignore all the tourist traps, Hollywood is a pretty cool place to visit, filled with hidden gems and pretty great food. That said, it's just one neighborhood in Los Angeles, and the trappiest of the bunch outside of the Grove or Santa Monica. If you're looking to experience the best of what the city has to offer, you'll be better off exploring other neighborhoods in one of America's most popular cities. Again, Dubai might seem like an odd inclusion in a list of the most overrated vacation spots, but ask anyone who spent time in the city and they'll be the first to tell you just how overrated it is. The city of Dubai looks stunning from the outside, but once you get there, it feels a little empty and, frankly, soulless. The city is full of new hotels, shopping malls, and construction projects that make it feel more like a development project than a high-end tourist destination. Dubai lacks a historic neighborhood or any real sense of culture. Everything here feels newly built and a little vacant, and there's a reason for that. Dubai is also one of the most expensive cities you can visit, and it costs this much on purpose. In this playground for rich oil tycoons, you'll be hard-pressed to find anything affordable, including places to stay and eat. Dubai is not very walkable either, so you'll be spending more money and most of your time in a taxi or rented vehicle. Dubai is also under international scrutiny for numerous human rights abuses that have been documented during the construction of this tourist destination. If all this wasn't bad enough, your fun in the blazing sun might be spoiled by poisonous beaches. Dubai has a serious pollution problem, and the toxic waterfront has even gotten tourists sick. If you're looking for fun in the sun, or even exploring new cultures in the desert, there are better places to go than Dubai. Trust me. You can't talk about overrated tourist destinations in major cities without mentioning Times Square. Times Square is definitely the most overrated tourist destination in New York City, and may be the most overrated vacation spot in the world. The Times Square of real life is not like what you've been seeing on TV or social media. Night or day, Times Square is jammed-packed with crowds of flustered and disappointing-looking tourists. There are countless visitors trying to take selfies and scores of working people going about their day who wish there weren't so many tourists. Your dreams of a solo selfie in the middle of Times Square will be shoulder to shoulder with dozens of other people who either try to do the same or just hate you for being there. This also means that Times Square is incredibly noisy. This is a major intersection and one of America's busiest cities, so you'll be shouting just so the person next to you can hear you. The experience of visiting Times Square is also short-lived. Apart from spending far too much money at shops you can find in any major US city, there's honestly nothing to look at, do, or experience here once you've crossed the road. At the end of the day, Times Square is really just an overcrowded, brightly lit intersection that will hoover up all your money on crap. Why take time out of your day to visit a crowded crossroads when you can visit other New York City destinations like Central Park, the Brooklyn Bridge, or the Metropolitan Museum of Art? You know what? Scratch that. They're all pretty trappy too. Paris is one of the most romantic tourist destinations in the world and one of the most popular destinations for international travelers. But the Champs-Élysées is a huge tourist trap that should be avoided. You might have heard romantic tales of the Champs-Élysées being a high-end walk full of luxury shopping and dining, but this really isn't true. The Champs-Élysées is full of stores selling brands that you'll recognise from home at marked up prices that will shock you. Did you know that France is the most expensive place in the world to buy Le Creuset? They make it there, for flip's sake. If you're looking for the real luxury shopping experience, head over to Avenue Montaigne, where the real haute couture brands have moved to. If that weren't bad enough, the food scene here is pretty shocking too. The restaurants on Champs-Élysées don't hold a candle to other options found throughout the city of Paris. If food is on your mind, try the Latin Quarter. It's cheaper, the variety is wider, more authentic, and it's far less expensive. Drawbacks aside, the Champs-Élysées has its uses. If you treat this street as just a road helping you get to your destination, and not a destination itself, you can visit the fairly tourist-trappy Arc de Triomphe without having to spend much time on Champs-Élysées. No list of overrated tourist attractions would be complete without the most magical and overrated place on Earth. No list. None. Welcome to Disney World. I will say that even if you have just a passing interest or knowledge of Disney productions, that you should pay a visit at least once, preferably in the off-season or a weekday, because there is some magic to be found in this consumerist hellscape. That said, you may only ever be able to afford visiting once, because Disney World has gotten crazy expensive in recent years. Even budget hotel options are now costing hundreds of dollars. Stereotypically extortionate theme park pricings are at their worst when you're visiting the House of Mouse. The park is monetized in just about every aspect. Don't expect to get anything for free when you visit Disney World. It's also gotten more crowded, especially post-pandemic, and the behaviour of some of these people is on par with Vegas bachelor parties. There are long lines for anything you want to do, whether it's riding a roller coaster or even dining at one of Disney World's restaurants. The worst part about Disney World is that you're going to spend more time saving up for and planning this trip than you will be enjoying it, with things getting even more complicated for families looking to take young kids with them to Disney. We're rounding out our list with Mount Rushmore. This is easily one of the most overrated destinations in America. One of the biggest issues with Mount Rushmore is that it looks so much smaller in person. It really doesn't have the impressive grandeur that you'd expect from all the images you see online and in books. There's also very little to do at Mount Rushmore. Once you've taken a look, it's time to spend hours driving back to something a bit more exciting, like your hotel room. Mount Rushmore is also a deeply controversial destination. The Black Hills are sacred to the native Lakota Sioux people, and Mount Rushmore was once a natural wonder known as the Tonkasilla Sakpepaha, or the 6 grandfathers of the mountain, before it was completely ruined by the addition of 4 old white guys who spent decent chunks of their lives making life miserable for Native Americans, and 2 of which owned human beings as property. Honestly, if you've seen a picture of Mount Rushmore, you've gotten all the experience you can get out of this destination, without the added disappointment. Thanks very much for watching. Did our list of the most overrated tourist attractions surprise you, shock you, confirm your own experiences? Let us know, and share some of your own most overrated vacation experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the ViaTravelers.com YouTube channel to get inside tips on vacation destinations, travel and accommodations for trips all over the world. Until our next vid, happy travels, and steer clear of these overrated attractions.